everyone. I'm just going to wait 1 minute for others to join. But welcome. Thank you for joining. You can drop me a little emoji if you're here so I know. I can't see who's on the live. So if you have just joined, drop me a thumbs up so that I know that you're here. It'd be great to know how many people are here with us today. I've just started a little bit early, but we'll get going at 12:30. Hey, Rachel, thank you for joining. It's wonderful to see you. Can't wait to see you in real life someday very soon. Hi, Chantel. I need to WhatsApp you. I will definitely do so later today. It's great to have you here. Anybody else here with us today? Please do drop me a thumbs up or a little message. It'd be great to know who's here. And then I will get started. Okay, so it is officially 12:30, so I'm going to kick things off with a webinar. It is interactive, so I will be asking you at different intervals to share your thoughts in the chat. So please don't be shy. Let us know you're here and share your comments in the chat. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Atlyn Forde. I'm the CEO of Communicate Inclusively. So welcome to today's LinkedIn Live webinar. Today, we are discussing the urgent need for diversity, equity and inclusion change makers in the UK. So some of you may have seen my post that I posted yesterday, where I just shared a little bit about why I'm doing this webinar. Probably many of you who are based in the UK will know that there was recent riots during the summer. There were racist and Islamophobic riots. And I guess for me, that was a real sign. I guess something that I knew already, but I guess it's a real obvious sign that there is still a need for us to really focus and champion D&I in the workplace, in our communities, and in society at large. And at Communicate Inclusively, that's my D&I consultancy. Me and the team, we have a strong belief that everyone has the potential to be a D&I change maker and can make a significant difference on our workplaces, but also on society. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about my story. So my own journey as a D&I change maker, it began just over 4 years ago at Pepper Money, which is a mortgage lender in the financial services sector. And I volunteered to lead the D&I focus, and this was in the wake of the George Floyd murder. And so this was alongside my main role. And so what I did, because it was starting from scratch, there was nothing that happened in regards to D&I before that. I established a D&I committee, and it's a real great bunch of people who are very committed to D&I, like I was. But there are many different people across Pepper who have supported, and that's really one of the roles of a D&I change maker, to kind of galvanize support. But in addition to that, kind of creating a strategy, doing research and insights, but really it all came together and really transformed the culture of Pepper Money, and it continues to do so today. So this is just my experience, and it really highlights the power of D&I initiatives in making a tangible difference in terms of creating a workplace where everyone feels valued, respected and empowered, but also society. The lessons that people learn in the workplace, they can take and carry on into the communities and into society. And that's why I'm doing this webinar today, to really encourage others to be D&I change makers, because I believe in light of those rights, there is a real urgent need for there to be more change makers. Okay, so let me know when you can see my slides. I'm just going to put my slides on. Just bear with me for a moment while I do that, and then we can get the formal proceedings underway. Okay, here we go. If anyone else has joined recently, please drop me a thumbs up or a message in the chat so I know who is here with us today. It'd be great to see who's with us. As I said, it's going to be interactive, so I will be asking you throughout the session to share your thoughts. But I guess the first thing to understand is really, what does it take to be a D&I change maker? A D&I change maker actively promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion within their organizations or community. They work to break down barriers and challenge biases, and they advocate for marginalized and underrepresented groups, whether that be based on their gender, age, race, socioeconomic status, disability, religion, or many other characteristics. There are so many groups that are around us that, are marginalized and underrepresented. And so as a D&I change maker, you will possess a range of qualities, okay? So the first one is really a passion for fairness. You know, this is something that I have, and really this is one of my core values even before I joined Pepper Money. And so being the D&I chair and being the global D&I chair for Pepper Money really was something that sat really well in terms of my own personal values. And for D&I Change Makers, I would suggest that, you know, this is something that is important to them too. Also, empathy and understanding is really important. Be able to understand and walk in other people's shoes, even if you don't have the background, lived experience that they have, you have empathy and understanding in terms of their experiences, and you want to understand. Resilience is also a real key thing. You know, being a D&I change maker is not an easy path, and there will be barriers, there will be pushback, and there will be maybe burnout and emotional trauma from you when you're listening to other people's stories. And so resilience and focusing on your well-being is also really important. The ability to challenge the status quo, that takes confidence, right? And so you need to be able to do that, you know, and also stand up for others. And I mentioned that in the intro. You also need to be an excellent communicator. I'd like to think that I do quite well at communications. I was, before I became a D&I consultant, I spent many years working in marketing and communications. And I think being able to communicate on a one-to-one basis, also written communications, are really important as a D&I change maker. Also being a collaborator and being able to build relationships. And then lastly, I think this is really important, being able to inspire others to join the cause, because you can't do it alone. You definitely need support from others. You need executive support as well as others who can join you either as a D&I committee or as an employee resource group, or just people who want to volunteer and share their stories. And so being a collaborator able to build those relationships is an extremely important trait of a D&I change maker. So do we have any D&I change makers here with us today? I did say it was going to be interactive. So if you are a D&I change maker already and you're doing this good work and you have these characteristics, please put a thumbs up in the chat. Or if you're an inspiring change maker, please also put your thumbs up, because this session is really for you today. And don't be shy. Please do share your thoughts in the chat. We want to see lots of interactions in there. But what are the skills that you need to advocate for change? To become an effective advocate for change, you need several key skills. The first one is cultural intelligence, the ability to understand and appreciate different perspectives, and to respect that as well, and to really want to be curious to find out about other people's cultures. Hi, Ed. Thank you so much for joining. It's great to have you here as well. And thank you for interacting in the chat. Please don't be shy, everyone. Do please put your comments and emojis in the chat and share your thoughts. The other aspect in terms of the skills that you have, as I mentioned, is empathy, but also active listening. You want to truly connect with others and their experiences, and this is how you do that through empathy and active listening. I mentioned communications before, and the real need for that is to convey your ideas clearly and persuasively, but also I think to really understand and connect with the people you're speaking to. When you're speaking to executives, you might use one voice. When you're speaking to someone who has had a bad experience or been discriminated against, you may need to use a different voice. And so again, this is why that's such an important skill to have as a D&I advocate or a D&I change maker. Also, strategic thinking. You need to plan and execute your goals and objectives that you have set within your strategy. And I think creatively as well, this is really important, but also timing. When do you do certain things? Is the organization ready for this conversation? You know, how can we build out a year-long strategy and build on what we've done? So strategic thinking is also essential and really important. And I mentioned the resilience, staying strong despite the challenges, because I can guarantee there will be challenges along the way. Thank you, Tilly and Teray, for joining. It's really great to have you here from the Communicate Inclusively team. Okay, so those are some of the key skills that you'll need to have. If anyone else has got any other thoughts about other skills you think are really important, please do add them to the chat as well. But how do you apply those skills? How do you apply those skills of the D&I change maker? There are countless ways that you can apply them within the workplace and outside. But in the workplace, you can champion D&I initiatives. And ideally, this will be based on your D&I strategy and interventions, you know, whether it's a webinar, whether it's, you know, a speaker coming in, whether it's having a cultural day. You know, there are so many different interventions and things that you can do. And it's great to be creative, but also to deliver them with impact and engagement at the heart of them. Gather data and insights. That's also extremely important. You want to know that what you're doing is really tailored to your audience inside your workplace. And so by gathering data and insights, you'll know what the challenges are and what their interests are, and then you can focus on those. as I said, to develop that D&I strategy, it's really important that you have a plan. You know, you don't just want to be shooting from the hip and doing things willy-nilly. Do the insight, gather the insights and create a plan so that you know what you're doing for the year ahead. And also you can communicate that so everyone knows what's coming. As I said before, get that executive support and be able to influence stakeholders. So if you've got an exco, if you've got a CEO, other senior leaders, it's really important that you have their support in order to embed EDI as a core function of the business, but also to influence the culture. But there may be other influencers in your business who are not leaders, but also it's really beneficial to get them on side and to get them to be involved with your D&I initiatives, because others will listen to them. If they're influencers in the business, you know, they can really help to kind of cement what you're doing and embed that inclusive culture. As I said before, you cannot do it alone. So I really recommend that you work with others, build a D&I committee or council, develop employee resource groups or staff networks, get people together, get them to share their ideas, all the diverse voices together, deciding what's best for the organization and how you can execute it in a way that will really resonate with your colleagues. But also this last one is extremely important, building accountability and reporting frameworks. Again, we don't just want to be doing things and not knowing what impact they're having. We also want people to feel that it is part of their role within the organization. Everyone in the organization has a role to play. As a D&I change maker, you're a catalyst, but you're not doing all the work. And so building accountability, whether that's through your one-to-ones, through your annual assessment processes, you know, through your managers, having it in their objectives, but also the reporting, you know, include it in your board reports, include it in your monthly reports, and really build that framework so that everyone in the business is invested and is part of this. If there are other interventions that you're doing and that are working effectively, again, please do share it in the chat. It'd be great to hear your thoughts. These are just some of the ideas. There are so many more things that you do, but these are the core things I would recommend that you have and that you do as a D&I change maker. So have you undertaken any of these activities yourself? Again, please do share, give us a thumbs up. It'd be great to know what everyone is doing as D&I change makers, or even if you're thinking about doing some of these things. Again, sometimes being a change maker can be quite daunting. And, you know, within some of the work that we do, it's about building confidence and encouraging people to take that leap of faith. 9 times out of 10, it has a really positive impact on the organization. So if you're doing any of these great things, please let us know, put a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, but beyond the workplace, you can also volunteer your time. You can speak out against injustice or use your platform to raise awareness of issues such as, more recently, I've seen a lot of talk about gender violence, and this was based on the Olympian from Kenya who suffered, well, she died, she suffered violence from her partner. And then there's also a lady in France that is currently in court for her husband and many other men perpetrating violence against her. And so gender violence at the moment is like a key issue that people are talking about. And so as a D&I change maker, even if you're not in the workplace, you can advocate and speak for these things. But also I think it's important that you have a long-term commitment. You know, being a D&I change maker is not just for one day, 1 week, or even 1 year. You know, it takes time to have an impact. And so if you are wanting to take on this role as a change maker, you know, it's a long-term commitment. But there may be times when you need to take a step back. As I said, you know, resilience is key, but you need to look after your own well-being. And there are certainly times when I felt triggered and felt that I needed to take a step back. And that could be for a week, for a day. You know, maybe there are other support mechanisms you can put in place, whereby you talk to your other people on your D&I committee, you talk to your manager, or you talk to a friend or someone you trust about any issues that you're facing, any pushback, any things that are quite personal that have triggered you in your work as a D&I change maker. But let's think about the positive impacts of D&I change makers, because they are so many and they are far-reaching. Okay, their efforts can lead to increased employee engagement and satisfaction. And so the work that you do makes your colleagues happy. You know, that people spend so much time at work. And it's great to think that, you know, by increasing the sense of belonging, increasing the sense of inclusivity, people feel more engaged and happy at work. And this is something that is really important that I love to see. And quite often when we ask colleagues about how they felt about our initiatives, because getting feedback is also really important. It is so rewarding to hear people say that they feel much happier coming to work, that they really love the work that we're doing. They really appreciate it on a very individual level. Thank you, Tilly. Tilly's spoken about Levi's having multiple ERGs, which are doing great things for employees. And it's great to really support those networks as well. Yes, indeed, I think having those employee resource groups where you kind of give them autonomy to do what's best for their communities, I think always has really positive outcomes. And it's a great way to learn from those people in that group as well. So another area of impact from change makers is increased employee I already said that one, improved innovation and creativity. So through diverse perspectives. So if you have different people in team meetings that are sharing their views, if you have a big project and you've got a very diverse team, and that's kind of in terms of the hierarchy, as well as the backgrounds of the people that are involved, you're going to get, improved idea creation, and innovation and creativity coming through. And again, what you may have seen in the press is organizations that have put out campaigns that have really been big faux pas in terms of how they've represented people, the stereotypes they've perpetuated. And that's normally because they haven't had diverse perspectives in the room. And so, by being a DEI change maker, you're encouraging inclusivity. Hopefully that will have an impact on your recruitment and your retention, but also in terms of giving people opportunities to have a voice. And so this is where you're going to see that improved innovation and creativity. Invite people into the room, give them a chance to get involved in those projects. And this can also enhance decision making. And if you have an echo chamber, everyone's agreeing with this bad decision and no one wants to say that they don't think it's a good idea. And this is also around psychological safety. And psychological safety is where you don't fear sharing your thoughts or giving feedback. You don't fear getting things wrong. Everyone gets things wrong sometimes. But this is where you can enhance those decision making. People might say, hold on a minute, have you thought about this angle? So again, by having those diverse voices, by having psychological safety, which you build through having an inclusive culture, it can really enhance decision making at every level. It's really good for your company reputation. And many of my clients now are really wanting to ensure that what they're doing internally is also known out externally. Customers want to know that they're interacting with a company who really values inclusivity. And so, but also stakeholders, potentially funders, investors, they also want to see that you're an organization that is really invested in inclusivity and doing the right thing by your people. And so, by being a DEI change maker, you're also helping to build a really strong brand and reputation for your organization. And then the last thing I've got on here, which I mentioned slightly before, was around attracting top talent and retaining them. Okay. And so this is really important because if you're looking to attract the top people, you are maybe doing an interview process, but they're also interviewing you. They're going to be in demand and they're going to be checking your website and looking at what you've done and finding out, is this an inclusive place where I want to work? And more so, for the younger generation coming through that are looking to, work for forward-thinking organizations, they want to see your DEI policy. They want to understand that you are really committed to creating a sense of belonging, that you're going to look out for them. And so as a DEI change maker, if you're advocating for policies and practices that lead to more inclusivity, you're going to help your organization to attract diverse talent and also to retain them. Quite often the attraction works, but then if you don't have that inclusive culture, they don't stay for very long. And so it's about attracting them, but also having a really good culture where they want to stay and they want to work for you. So if you are a DEI change maker or an aspiring one, again, in the chat, let us know about any other positive outcomes you've seen, because there are so many positive outcomes from effective DEI change makers and the work that they do. So if there are any other positive outcomes that you want to share, please do pop it in the chat, because I'm sure I've just touched the tip of the iceberg here. I know there are many more positive outcomes that are implemented in the workplace. But let's talk about the societal issues that we're facing. At the beginning of this webinar, I spoke about how I was impacted personally by the race riots and the Islamophobic messages that were coming out, and the negativity around asylum seekers and refugees. And really, it just highlighted, the light bulb went off, and that, this work, we need to do so much more in terms of trying to help people to understand why inclusivity is so important. But I know that there are other issues that are linked to why that happened. But I do believe that through being a DEI change maker, we can have a positive impact on some of these societal issues. So the first one I've just listed here is the systemic inequalities, and that could be around kind of policing, housing, education and health. These are things that require a lot of work, but again, we keep highlighting them and speaking up for those who are marginalised and maybe are being negatively impacted by those systemic inequalities. The lack of representation for marginalised groups, and again, that could be in leadership positions, that could again be in politics, it could be in so many different places where we're seeing that lack of representation. But it's not just about them not being in the room, it's also about their voices not being heard. So again, you know, as a DEI change maker, we'll talk about allyship, and this is also really important, that although maybe those groups are not there, they're not represented, and we want to work to change that, but even so, we should be allies and we should be giving them a voice, even though we're speaking it ourselves, we're representing them. We are in the room, and what influence can we have, and how can we change that? But we do know that at present, you know, a lot of boards, a lot of leadership teams lack that diversity, and so that is also a societal issue that we see reoccurring frequently. Unconscious bias and microaggressions are things that are happening daily, and this is kind of subtle insults, subtle aggressions, really, that your biases come into the fore, and it can really wear people down, the people that are on the receiving end of those aggressions. But again, these are things that are happening frequently in society, and something that, you know, we'd love to see a change in, or people having more awareness around their biases and being called out when microaggressions occur. There's been a significant rise in hate crimes and tolerance, and this is against many different groups that are happening. You know, violence, people have been terrorized and just don't feel safe in the UK and other parts of the world. And it's, you know, really disheartening and disappointing to see this rise in hate crimes and intolerance. And then the last one is this polarization, division within communities. So, you know, that could be, you know, rich versus poor, the different class systems, you know, people feeling like they've been forgotten. You know, it could be with regards to religion, it could be to do with race, but there is this real polarization, right versus left, in terms of the politics and thinking. And I feel like it's getting worse, you know, within communities, and it's creating real division. Now, again, if you've seen any other societal issues, I've just, again, tip of the iceberg kind of thing. But if you've noticed any other societal issues that are happening and that are having an impact on people, you know, do please share them in the chat. It'd be great to kind of get your thoughts on that. But I guess the key thing is, what can we do as DEI change makers? Can we really do anything about this? I guess I definitely believe that in the workplace, it's an ideal setting to address societal issues and foster positive change by increasing awareness of DEI themes. And the thing about the workplace is that you get to meet people that you may never come across in your day-to-day home life. Okay, also within the workplace, you can do compulsory training. So you may never feel that you want to, or you want to take part in DEI training, or that you need it. But within the workplace, you can be forced to do it. And so I feel like it's a really great place for people to get educated on different cultures, to understand their own biases, and to really be able to take lessons from the workplace that they can implement in society. Okay, some of the things that could do is break down stereotypes. So if you've got a stereotype of a certain group, but then someone working, you know, on the same workstation as you is actually from that group, and then you get to talk to them and think, you know what, he's pretty all right. You know, I hadn't realized that that particular group of people could be so nice and friendly. So I think it can really break down stereotypes. But not only that, as a DEI change maker, you're also advocating for training and sharing lived experiences in the workplace. And I think if you get your colleagues to share the lived experiences, whatever they may be, I think it's a real light bulb moment, because you presume that, say, for example, your CEO went to university, or you presume that your CEO has never had mental health issues, or you presume that your CEO doesn't have a mixed race child. But then if they open up and share the lived experience, again, it breaks down those stereotypes. Okay, and so I think as a DEI change maker, there are many interventions and initiatives that you can do to really help to bring down and break down those stereotypes, to promote empathy and understanding within the workplace. And again, I think this can be something that managers are often taught in terms of having empathy for people who may come to them and say, you know, I've got caring responsibilities, I'm caring for my elderly parents, you know, I need to get reasonable adjustments to my working life. Again, there's an empathy there that you maybe have not even realized and understood previously. Or there may be, you know, an issue linked to a family member who has been persecuted in another country and they're coming over here, you know, to escape a war. And then, you know, you've got this real close proximity. You know, you've seen it on the news, but in fact, my colleague that, you know, I know really well, their experience and very close to someone having to seek asylum. And then I think the level of empathy and understanding just goes to a totally different level. And so I think within the workplace, I think it's a really great place where you can promote empathy and understanding that, again, can go beyond the workplace, can really have a positive impact in society. Yes, Ed. So in terms of co-workers sharing their lived experiences, it could be that you have webinars. So we've done some really good ones on neurodiversity, and people in the workplace shared their experience with having ADHD, being autistic, being dyslexic. And they spoke about how it impacts them in the workplace and also how they feel that they're perceived by others. Some of them had never disclosed to anybody in the workplace that they were dyslexic. And so it encouraged other people to then speak to their managers and say, oh, you know, I'm also neurodivergent and I've never asked for this reasonable adjustment. But, you know, in light of the webinar, it's given me the courage to show that I'm not the only one in this business that's neurodivergent. It could be that during a town hall. This is what happened in Pepper Money, that in the town hall, our CEO spoke about his mental health and how certain things that had been happening had an impact on him. And again, that showed vulnerability. It's role modeling vulnerability. If it's okay for our CEO to show vulnerability and to talk about his mental health being impacted, surely it's okay for me to go to my manager and tell them. And so I think it's this kind of thing. There was also another thing we did for Black History Month, and a colleague spoke about how many times he'd been stopped by the police, a Black colleague. And people were shocked. They were like, wow, you know, I had no idea. And he's like, yeah, I get stopped by the police all the time. I haven't done anything. People don't seem to understand, you know, how much of a bad impact it has. That could ruin my whole day. I'm on my way to work. I get stopped by the police on the way to work, and that could ruin my whole day. I don't say anything, but, you know, it's happened numerous times. And again, people have seen this stop and search as a news item, but never maybe have seen it the impact it has on individuals, and would think that someone in their workplace has to experience this. So those are just a few examples whereby you can do it in team meetings, do it in town halls, or have webinars on certain topics, and they could be linked to awareness days, or through your insights and data on your teams. You can see the topics that are maybe very relevant to your teams, and so then you create a webinar on that topic. Or what we've also done is, say, for example, it was International Week of Families, or International Day of Families, and people shared their families' pictures on the intranet. So it wasn't a webinar. People may be a bit reticent to speak about their personal lives, but they might be happy to share a photo and a little comment about their families. And what that really did was that, you know, there are so many different families. It doesn't have to mean that you have children. It could mean that you're a same-sex couple. It could mean that you live with your grandparents. It could mean that, you know, you live alone and you have, you know, your dog or your pet is kind of part of your family. It really just showed diversity in that space. And then the pictures was just so cute and lovely, and people engaged there. So I think, again, it builds understanding, but because it's personal, someone that you know in the business, it just runs so much deeper and people can really engage and resonate with it, rather than it just being this hypothetical, theoretical thing that people from this group experience this. When it's someone that you work with, it really has more of an impact. Okay, I've given a few examples there. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on so long. But if anyone else wants to share any thoughts around other things that you can do in the business to kind of increase awareness that could potentially have a positive impact outside. There's a few other things I've put on here to create a culture of respect and inclusion. So people are different to you, but you still respect their views. Doesn't have to mean that it's a personal thing. We can both have different views and different cultures, and we respect that. In fact, it's so interesting to hear about other people's cultures, other people's religions, and how they celebrate that. And you know, again, I've done lots of initiatives whereby we showcase, you know, Diwali, we'll showcase the Jewish culture, you know, we'll talk about Christianity, we'll talk about people who have come from different places in the world. We have Polish food, lots of different things to get people to really be curious and to understand how different cultures are, but in a very positive light, to build bridges across communities. And again, in the workplace, you know, in society, there may be frictions between, you know, people who are Jewish and then people who follow Islam. You know, in the workplace, you could be sat next to each other. Can we build bridges, you know, and then again, work on that and build on that outside of the workplace? And lastly, just to empower individuals to challenge discrimination. So when you see discrimination happening in the workplace, and whether that's, you know, through an interview, whether it's to do with a promotion, whether it's just to do with someone saying something that's really discriminatory, you want to empower individuals in your organization to speak up when they see this, when something's not right. And again, this is around psychological safety. They can talk up and they feel like, you know, it's okay to say, hold on a minute, that didn't sound very nice. You know, I think, you know, have you thought about it in this way? And if more people are doing that, that can also spill over into society, and people will challenge people when they see things that are happening rather than turning the other way and not wanting to get involved and not wanting to feel confident enough to really challenge things that they know are not right. Okay, but it's crucial that we encourage allyship and speak up against microaggressions and discriminatory behaviours that we see. As DEI change makers, this is also part of our role. Okay, I was talking a lot. I don't know if anyone else wants to share any thoughts in the chat with regards to what I said in terms of how we as change makers and the work we do in the workplace can spill over and have a positive impact on society as a whole. So DEI initiatives, they don't just improve workplaces, they build stronger, more connected communities. By fostering inclusivity, we can reduce prejudice and discrimination and increase social cohesion and create a society where everyone can thrive. And I think it's really for everyone to thrive and to feel included. And quite a lot of the time when there is discord in society, it's because there's an imbalance and people feel that they're not being heard. And so we want to ensure that we don't shut anybody down, but we ensure that everything is respectful in terms of hearing people's views. Okay. So is anyone here ready to be a change maker? Does everyone here feel they've got the skills to be a change maker? I think now is the time to act. Okay. And if you need support, that's what we're here to do. There's an urgent need for DEI change makers more than ever. By developing the skills and knowledge to champion diversity and inclusion, you can be a catalyst for positive change. And I really encourage you to go ahead and do the things that I mentioned at the beginning of this session, to build support for your DEI initiatives, to develop your own skills and knowledge, to join a network of like-minded change makers, because again, you need that support sometimes, and also to encourage others to be DEI change makers. So even if you are a change maker yourself, could you encourage others to also take on this important role? If you're ready to start your journey, please put a thumbs up in the chat. I'd love to see who's ready to take on this journey of being a DEI change maker. And that brings me nicely onto the DEI Change Maker program. So I spoke a bit about my story, and this is really what led me to create this program. I've created a diversity inclusion change maker program to empower individuals like you with the skills and knowledge needed to make a difference. Our next cohort is starting on the 25th of September. I know Ed and some others are signed up for that. And I encourage you to secure your place. You know, together we can build a future where everyone feels valued and respected and empowered. And this is just some of the things that we're going to be doing on the program. It's very interactive. We have a range of award-winning experts that are going to be taking place as speakers alongside myself as the host. We make sure that it's interactive, that there are engaging learning experiences. And we have a portal whereby you can access helpful resources and toolkits so you can take them away and use them in your own organization. It's been mainly virtual workshops, but we have case studies and group discussions and practical exercises. And again, you get to meet other like-minded change makers. So it's really designed for, you know, aspiring change makers, managers, and business leaders. And so these are just some of the topics we're going to be covering in the program. You know, again, many of the things that I've listed already that you may need a bit of guidance and support on. You need to kind of build your confidence. And these are some of the organizations where we're going to have speakers from. So we've tried to really get people who have implemented many of these things and have made a significant progress in their own organizations to come and speak as part of the program. And so if you're interested, or if you know someone that is, you can recommend that they take a look at our website. As I said, it starts on 25th of September. It's for 12 weeks, so it runs until early December. I think the 4th of December is the last session. But there are 6 sessions, and they're all an hour and 45 minutes with a break. And so it's more or less every 2 weeks that we have a session. And we have afternoon and evening sessions because, the work that you do in the program is going to benefit your organization. And so last time we did it in January is the first time we did the program, and we're repeating it now as the second cohort based on the feedback from those who took part in January. And one of the things they said is that they'd like for us to do some of the sessions during the day, during their working day, which is why we've got a mix of afternoon sessions and also after work sessions at 6 p.m. So I think it's 12:30 and 6 p.m. But there are 3 packages. You can just do the basic package, which is just joining the program and taking part in those 6 sessions. But we also do one-to-one coaching. And again, some of you may benefit from that, being able to personalize the support that you get and to get one-to-one advice. And we also have one whereby you can get an inclusivity audit for your organization. So we try to pitch it at every level. If any of you want further information, you can email us at hello@communicateinclusively.com, or you can visit the website and you can use this QR code right here. So this is just the last slide, and this is just some of the platforms. I'm hoping that you're on LinkedIn, so I'm hoping that you're following us on LinkedIn already. If you're not, please do follow the company page, which is Communicate Inclusively, but also follow me, Atlyn Forde, on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Atlyn Forde, and some of you follow me already. But I don't know if anyone's got any questions. I'd love to hear any questions that people can ask about being a change maker, about the program, or any thoughts on some of the things that we spoke about today, especially the societal impacts and the societal issues that we're facing. Any questions from anyone? Don't be shy. I've been talking for too long, so it'd be great to kind of hear your thoughts now. You can pop it in the chat and then I'm happy to answer. We're also on YouTube. We've got lots of videos on YouTube that can be another great way to learn about diversity and inclusion and to help you on your journey. So again, look up Communicate Inclusively on YouTube, and there's lots of resources there. But also on the Communicate Inclusively website, you'll find lots of resources and toolkits and checklists and things that can help you. Oh, thank you, Chantel. How do you stay calm when discussing these topics? It's a really good question, Chantel. I find on the whole, I can be quite calm, but occasionally there can be topics that can be quite triggering. As a Black woman, I guess talking about race and gender can sometimes, cause your heart to beat a little bit faster. But I guess, for me, if you come from a place of really wanting to have a positive impact on others, you can just be honest and say that, this is, quite a touchy subject for me, if you're feeling like you're not being calm. And you could also ask for space and say, thank you for raising this. I need a bit of time to think about it, and I can come back to you and talk about it later. If that's okay, we can schedule a time for a catch up, and then you can almost prepare yourself. Because I feel sometimes with certain topics, having to talk about it off the cuff can be quite nerve inducing, I guess. And so maybe you wouldn't feel so calm. But I guess as you become more experienced, as you read a lot about different topics, and this is why it's really good to follow kind of key people on LinkedIn, and that's how I kind of keep myself up to date. I also have Google alerts on certain keywords so I can keep abreast of what's happening in the news, but also just speaking to people, really trying to speak to people from a diverse background and really understand their lived experiences. So you're coming from a place of empathy. But the other thing we talk about, and I've got another webinar that I did a few months ago on D&I pushback and people who want to challenge you in terms of why are we talking about this? Haven't we done this already? That can be, quite triggering as well. And I guess there's always going to be a need for having an inclusive culture in the workplace. And so we always need to have a focus on this. The hope is that it becomes part of BAU, which is something that we all do. We try to find ways to be inclusive in our day-to-day work. We look at everything through an inclusivity lens, whether that's, you know, delivering a presentation, whether it's building a website, whether it's interviewing someone. We'd like to think that we look at it through an inclusivity lens so that everyone has a fair chance and that there's equity as opposed to equality, so that there's a level playing field. For those who need some more support, we're able to do that. It should become BAU. At the moment, it's not, and this is why there's still a need for those DEI change makers. I hope that's helped, Chantal. I mean, again, do feel free to DM me if there's a particular topic that is triggering you, because, again, it can be different for different people depending on the lived experiences. So, for example, you may feel very calm talking about one topic, but another topic you may not feel so calm. So, dear, please DM me if you want to speak about something specifically. Okay, Tilly's asked, did you have any advice for any challenges change makers may face? Yeah, so I guess one of the challenges can be barriers to prevent you from doing good work. And that could be time. Maybe you're limited on time. You're doing it side of desk. And so, again, this is why I said about having others to help. You can't do it all on your own. I think budgets can also be a barrier in terms of the organization doesn't give you funding or budgeting. And this is why we're trying to find ways to make the program free. At the moment, it isn't free. We try to bring the cost down as much as we can. But unfortunately, colleagues are not being supported by their employers in terms of joining this program and them paying. And so quite often budgets can be an issue. And this is why I mentioned the planning. Plan a year ahead. And then you put in a proposal like you would for any other, you know, business activity. And D&I is like any other business activity, whether that's finance, whether that's sales, whether that's marketing. This is another part of your business activities. And so you manage it in the same way. You build a strategy, you build a budget, and you put in that proposal and ask for the funds at the beginning of the year, rather than just trying to ask for funds as and when you need them. Plan ahead, and then you're hopefully more likely to get the budget that you need. And the last challenge that I would say, Tilly, is with regards to your well-being. And I mentioned this already, and I will mention it again because it's something that people tend to forget. And, you know, you go in all passionate and really hungry to make a change. And then before you know it, you know, you're feeling really disheartened. You feel like there's no point in doing this. You've been pushed back. People have said things that you didn't like. People are not attending the initiatives that you're putting on. And it can be quite disheartening. And so this is whereby, you know, you need to take a break or speak to someone, or again, you know, find other people that are going to support you on this journey. So those are just a few challenges. I'm sure there are many others, but there's always a way to overcome the challenges that you will face. And so again, if anyone wants to talk through any specific challenges, do feel free to reach out to me via DM or via email. Okay, and then the last question is from Teray. Can change makers still access support sessions if not available for a session? Yes, as I said, please DM me. Or, you know, we can arrange a discovery call. If you go onto the website, you can schedule a call via our Calendly. But yeah, I'm always available. Obviously, I do have a very busy schedule, but I know it's really important to provide that support for people. So if you can't make the sessions, you can reach out to me, or like this will be recorded and put onto YouTube, you can also take a look at that, or other resources that are available on the website. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Unless there are any other questions, I'm going to sign off now. That 45 minutes or so has gone extremely quickly. I hope I didn't take up too much of your lunch break, and I hope everyone found the session beneficial. As I said, if you need any support, please do reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. And for those of you who are on the DEI Change Maker, I'm really excited for the 25th of September and our first session. Okay, everyone, take care, and thanks so much for joining. Bye-bye now.